olutsha lwe-IsiXhosa ASMR. In today's video, I am obviously on a road trip once again, traveling around the Eastern Cape province of South Africa, and I wanted to talk about my home province, drop some knowledge to be exact, but as I'm doing that, I have a favor to ask you. Just sit back, relax, empty your mind, lower your shoulders, stop clenching your shoulders, just let them down, relax. If you're in your bed and you're about to fall asleep, just make sure that you dim the light to make it easier for you to fall asleep. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Relax, 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 relax. Slow breaths in and out. Awesome, amazing, perfect. Now that you are relaxed, without further ado, let's get started. In today's video, I will be going back and forth, back and forth between IsiXhosa and English. Whatever it is that I say in English, I will immediately translate it to IsiXhosa. You guys know the drill. And right about now, I'm going to translate everything I just said up until now. Molweni bethu nana, ninjani namhlanje, kusekwandim wethu, ndikhwele inqwelo mafutha, ndiyazula zula. Ndiyaqhuba kwiphondo laseMpuma Koloni. Njengoba ke ndizula-zula, ndisiva amareyi, ndicela nje wena undenzele into enye qha qwaba, enye vo, yokuba uphole, uzole, ulale, uba kusebusuku ulale, ingathi namaxa akho wenyusile, ibangathi uyawayekelela amaxalaba akho. Emveni kokuba uyekelele amaxalaba, video, I will be stating random facts about the Eastern Cape province of South Africa. Once again, kuhlelo lwethu lwanamhlanje ndiza kube ndinibalisela okanye ndithetha izinto beningazazi ngephondo laseMpuma Koloni. The Eastern Cape is often referred to as a world in one province. A world in one province because of how diverse it is. It is the second largest province out of the 9 provinces we have here in South Africa. It offers everything from no snow skiing to sunny beaches, game to fascinating history. Iphondo lam ke linezinto ezininzi kwaye lelisitini ukuba likhulu apha eMzantsi Afrika. Zininzi into ongazenza ke eMpuma Koloni. Ezifana nokuba uhambe uyoqubha elwandle, uhambe uyobona izilwanyana ehlathini, okanye wethu uhlale ngekhephu, iqwa ngamanye amazwi, kwaye nemvelaphi yethu ininzi. The Eastern Cape is obviously located on the easternmost part of South Africa. It is almost 170 square kilometers in terms of landscape, and it is divided into 6 distinct municipalities and 2 metropolitan municipalities. Also, the province seats of the government is in Bisho, which is on the Buffalo City Metro. So, the government seat or the capital city in Eastern Cape is Bisho. I'm so sorry, but Bisho is so ashy. It looks like a dead town. If there's anyone from Bisho watching this, I'm sorry. It looks like you're passing by a dead town or a struggling village when you're in Bisho. It does not look like a capital city of the Eastern Cape at all. The was one of the first areas settled by the Portuguese in 1488 and by the British in 1820. It was the site of many wars between the local Khoisan and Xhosas, as well as the Dutch, British, and Germans. The rich cultural heritage of the Eastern Cape has been preserved in some of the region's smaller towns, including Bathurst, as well as Grahamstown. I always refer to Grahamstown as Eghini. Grahamstown is formerly known as Eghini, but that name has been changed to Makhanda. If you watch my videos, you probably have seen me talking about Makhanda Kanxele, who is one of the Xhosa warriors and legends. Basically, when the colonizers were moving to Grahamstown, Makhanda Kanxele had prepared a couple of warriors from Grahamstown, Eghini, at the time, and said they need to fight back. So as they were fighting back, they were captured by the colonizers, and then the colonizers placed them in an island, a jail located in an island. And you know that stereotype that black people can't swim, so now the only way out of jail was to what? Was to swim. And when Makhanda Kanxele was escaping from prison, as he was swimming for hours upon hours, he eventually drowned. And some people who escaped prison with him, some of them made it back to land, back to Grahamstown. When they got home, they reported that Makhanda, who they idolized and treated like a god in some way to free them from the colonizers, they reported that he unfortunately drowned. The Xhosa community members refused to believe that. They said, no, he's gonna come back to us. Makhanda Kanxele is gonna come back to us, of which he unfortunately never did. And they were waiting for years upon decades and decades for the coming back of Makhanda Kanxele. And that led to a very famous Xhosa saying of Ulinde ukuza kukanxele, meaning you are waiting upon the arrival of Nxele, meaning that you're waiting for something that will probably never happen. So yeah, that's the story of Grahamstown and how it got its name to be Makhanda and changed from Eghini, now known as Makhanda, after the legendary Makhanda Kanxele. After that, another small town is Kredok. is well known for being the birth province of globally recognized and respected liberation struggle icons like Nelson Rolihlahla, Dalibunga Madiba Mandela, who needs no introduction, and then Bishop Desmond Tutu, who gave South Africa the name Rainbow Nation. He called South Africa the Rainbow Nation because of how diverse it is in terms of culture, traditions, customs, religions, biodiversity, in terms of vegetation, flora and fauna basically. And then after that we have Steve Biko, who is one of the icons who fought for democracy. And then after that we have Robert Sobukwe. Another legend as well. After that we have Govan Mbeki, Thabo Mbeki, who is by far my favorite South African president. I know you're gonna be saying, how about Nelson Mandela? No, actually, Thabo Mbeki was my favorite, far beyond Nelson Mandela. To me, he seemed like a noble man, a man of integrity, who was not selfish and wanted to see people flourish, loved his country, respected its citizens. And I was beyond devastated when they removed him from his presidential seat before his term was over. It's probably because he was doing the Lord's work, making sure that the corrupt people are removed from Parliament, but unfortunately they plotted to get him removed. He was my favorite president. Unlike Cyril, no, Jacob Zuma, no. Absolutely love and respect Thabo Mbeki and his principles and everything. Loved him as a president. Anywho, the list goes on. And then there are there is Bisho that I told you guys about, and Bisho lies about 60 kilometers west of East London. What's going on? I'm hearing something that feels like something that is falling. Bisho, which is the capital city of East London. Sorry, the capital city of the Eastern Cape, is 60 kilometers away from west of East London. No, I do not mean East London as in the United Kingdom. No, East London in South Africa. Basically, one other fact I would like to share with you is that the main street, which also happens to be the busiest street is it? Well, it's called Oxford Street. I know, how crazy is that? Oxford Street in East London, not the UK. In South Africa. Insane. Well, these are the names that were developed or given by colonizers. The Xhosa name for East London is Emonti. 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 Ndia Emonti. I'm going to East London. Hayi ke andazi banizotolika ndithini. Nina balapha eMzantsi Afrika ndiqinisekile uba niyandazi uba ndithini. Ndithe ibhisho ingathi kusezilalini sanqa. And then koko ndathi hayi kubo bonke oopresidente bake bakhona apha eMzantsi wena ingathi ubhetele kutata uThabo Mbeki apha kumzanqa kunabo bonke abanye nje abanye ngathi khona ukushaya amanzi. Ndadlala or am I? And then koko ndathetha ngantoni ndathi wethu bafika abantu bokucinezela bacinezela iMzantsi Afrika. Bafika abanye ngo-1488, abanye bafika ngo-1820 bazocinezela abahlali baseMzantsi Afrika eMpuma Koloni. Ibhisho ke lisezilalini isondele kakhulu kuneMonti. Ndingakhethi iMonti kunebhisho mna sanqa. Ibhisho zilali ndinixelele. Uxolo uba khona umntu wasebhisho obokeleyo wethu. Nani niyayazi inyani bethini into. Niyayazi inyani bethini into. And then koko the Eastern Cape boasts two of the most successful industrial development zones in South Africa. The first one being East London, and then the other one being IDZs. The IDZs. And then they are both ideally situated for exports to world markets because they are along the coast as well. I guess they are in a more appropriate place for shipping and everything because they are along the coast. Eastern Cape, as you can obviously see, is very, very poor, among the poorest of the poorest of the poorest provinces in the country. You can see most of the homes are built by hand using mud. I mean, all homes are built by hand, obviously, but they're mostly built using mud and sticks. But every now and then you could also see homes that are built using cement as well as bricks. So yeah. And then the Eastern Cape economy is largely dependent on the automotive sector, but has potential in areas such as chemical and petrochemicals, agriculture, agro-processing, capital goods, manufacturing, automotive, and green industries. And then education, health, rural development, land and agrarian reform, and food security are priorities of the provincial government. And the growth of agriculture as well processing sector is strongly rooted in the Eastern Cape Provincial Growth and Development Program. This program earmarks primary production of food and food products and the addition of value to primary production by processing, manufacturing, and creating marketing of food products in major cities like East London, which is the economic hub of the Buffalo City metropolitan area, as well as in Port Elizabeth, which is the largest economic center within the Eastern Cape. Port Elizabeth, if my memory serves me correct, it also happens to be the largest province in the Eastern Cape. Port Elizabeth was formerly referred to as Ibai, Ibai Mambozana. Ibai meaning a blankie, the tiny blankie that kids use to fall asleep. It's called Ibai, a blankie. And there's a saying about it that says, Ibai alombadwa, lombadwa ngabalwaziyo kuphela, which means the blankie, you cannot use the blankie to comfort you. The only people who can use the blankie to comfort themselves are the people who are familiar with the blankie. So basically, I would equate it to more like the saying that says, New York, the concrete jungle where dreams are made of. Is it the concrete jungle where something? So I would basically say Port Elizabeth is the concrete jungle of the Eastern Cape. So if you go to Port Elizabeth, it's a concrete jungle. So you can't go there and think you can get comforted by Ibai. You can't go there and think you're gonna be comforted by Port Elizabeth. You need to be a hustler. You need to be alert. You need to be smart. Otherwise, everybody is gonna walk all over you because you're finding comfort in the blankie. The only people who find comfort in the blankie are the people who are familiar with the blankie. The concrete jungle. The only people who are comfortable in the concrete jungle are the lions, the king of the jungle, the lions. You know what I mean? So I would say that. So there's sayings about like people from Ibai, that like, hey, back shire, in terms of, street smarts and everything. And now Port Elizabeth is no longer referred to as Ibai. It is now called Gqeberha. I'm going to Port Elizabeth. Anywho, I think I forgot to translate now. We're just talking, just a couple of friends in a car. I'm just showing you my province and randomly chatting with you, just dropping some knowledge every here and there. And one thing I have previously mentioned in one of my other outdoors video that you probably don't know about if you've never really explored those videos is that if you're looking at these households and these usually referred to as indlu enkulu. And sometimes you'd see like yards having a lot of like rooms, not a single house. That's because within the family you have your uncles, like 4 of your uncles, and 3 aunts and whatnot. So everybody wants their own privacy within the same yard. So each of them has their own house within the same yard instead of, say, staying in the same house, if that makes any sense. And then they use their own separate rooms or houses for sleeping and everything. But when it comes to cooking and eating, everything is done in one big rondavel that you can see over here. So in the center of the rondavel is something we call isiko, where you would cook using firewood, and people, the family gathers all around together to eat. And in some instances, let's say you have a son who grows up and then goes to the mountain for ulwaluko, and then when he comes back home during umgidi, he usually gets his own house, privacy, and all that, all his own house instead of getting his own room inside a house. That's usually how things are. Separate rooms, which are separate houses, instead of building one big house with different rooms. And the big house, not the big house, but rather the rondavel, which is the heart, is referred to as indlu enkulu, meaning the big house. It's big in terms of the function it serves, not because of size. I mean, it could also be big in terms of size, but it's usually because of the function it serves. It's the heart of the home, where people from the entire family who have their separate houses gather together. And it also serves as the main kitchen. It also serves as the place where everybody, just comes together for celebrations, for eating dinner, for storytelling, for important conversations and meetings, etc. Hence, it's called indlu enkulu, the big house or the big room. And that's it on that front. And in terms of population, I'm pretty sure you guys already know that the Eastern Cape is mostly dominated by Xhosa speaking South Africans. And there are also Afrikaners as well as English-speaking citizens, who constitutes 11 and 6% in terms of population, respectively. And the population within the province is 6.6 million. And in terms of getting land to build your house, you usually speak to Inkosi, or the chief of the village. Inkosi meaning the king of the village or the chief of the village. In order for you to get land, you usually speak to them. Then you get your piece of land, technicalities of how it happens. And after that, with the 6.6 million in terms of population we constitute 13% of South Africa's population, with so many different cultures, customs, and traditions. That's quite a big number, which means Xhosas are the second largest population in the country, after the Zulu people. But when it comes to the province itself, it is the third most populous province in the country, and then the second largest province in terms of land mass, because it is approximately 169,580 square kilometers, which is 13.9% of South Africa. So yeah. In terms of population and economy, what can I say about economy? We're very poor. That's basically what I can say. It's the poorest province, one of the poorest provinces in the country. And I wouldn't say it's because of the lack of resources. There's plenty of resources, just like Africa is a poor continent, despite having ample supply of resources. It's just poor leadership and management. There's very poor leaders who are very greedy and only think about their own pockets. That's just about it. And unfortunately, when you have poor leaders who are selfish and only think about their pockets, they live in big homes, wealthy houses, wealthy, families and everything. But then the rest of the people are struggling. And there was something that I saw where someone was saying, yes, as South Africans, we're free in terms of, oppression, but then we are still oppressed in terms of poverty and having leaders and continually selecting leaders who are leading us to even more poverty and more struggles. And are you really free if you are suffering from poverty? Because true freedom comes with the freedom of doing what you want, having food on your table, a stable household, etc. But if you're still suffering from poverty, you're not really free. You're still oppressed. And it was interesting to hear that. And I am proud of how much people are now starting to wake up, because over the past 30 years, our democratic, party has led us nowhere but a trash bin, basically. And now the country selfish, thinking about their own stomachs, and people are hungry out there, and hunger at times does wake you up into certain things. Yes, we are grateful for what our forefathers did in terms of fighting for democracy and everything, but when looking at it and what our leaders have done, this is not what our forefathers fought for. This is not what, they were unalived for by the colonizers. This is not the democracy that they wanted, the selfish kind, you know what I mean? But anyway, let's not talk about that. We want to relax and get you to fall asleep. Can we talk about something else? Let's talk about the climate in the Eastern Cape. You're seeing the landscape and everything, right? Well, the Eastern Cape is the only one of South Africa's 9 provinces to have all 7 of its biomes and ecological zones within its boundaries, which is something amazing and fascinating. This actually gives it diversity in terms of climate, allowing for a vast range of activities. The Eastern Cape has more to offer than just sunshine days, okay? But obviously it has more sunshine days than any other South African province. It has more than 300 out of the 365 days being sunny. So more than 300 days are sunny within the Eastern Cape. Awesome, which is why people from the Eastern Cape are always bubbly and happy and energetic, because the sun does affect your mental health. The sun does affect your mood, which is why when you're feeling down and depressed, people usually say just go outside, get some sunlight. And the Eastern Cape citizens are the most welcoming, lively people you will ever find in South Africa. My take might be biased or not, depends on how you feel and how much you trust me and my opinion, honestly, but in my opinion, so lively, so lively. Okay, what else can we talk about? In terms of natural resources, we are very much abundant in natural resources, from grazing land, as you can see in this video. We also have forests. It might be hard to see from this video, but we also do have forests. This land that you're seeing here, the open land, is used for grazing. It has some of the most palatable grasses for livestock. So yeah, but we also do have forests and marine life, more especially around the coast. And there's also farming soils. I'm pretty sure you've seen gardens every now and then, and also water to wilderness. Pretty sure you've also seen a couple of small streams or rivers every now and then in this video. So yeah, we have those. Okay, the climate does allow for the production of a diverse range of crops, such as pineapples, tea, tomatoes. Umbona is the most famous, which is maize or corn, as other countries countries call it, very famous for umbona, banana, banana. I'm thinking of the fruit that I would usually get for free. And when I moved out of Eastern Cape, I was like, no. What do you mean I have to buy this? I eat this for free. Mangoes. Oh my god. Mangoes. Out of the Eastern Cape, I've never, ever tasted mangoes from anywhere else where I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. The most tastiest, amazing, yummiest mangoes, juicy, sweet, amazing, just taste like magic, come from the Eastern Cape. The mangoes, the avocados as well, the guavas. Oh my gosh. One thing I've always told myself, I don't care how far I am from home, I would never ever buy from the shop is guava. There's guava everywhere, at least where I'm from, there's guava everywhere, and you'd find random guava trees just standing there. You can just grab a guava and eat. And then people in their yards, they have guava trees everywhere as well. So there's plenty of guavas. So when I've moved from the Eastern Cape and I've seen guavas being sold at the shop, I was like, what? Is this for real? Because we don't buy guavas. They are everywhere, such that you don't even find them at the shop. Who would buy a guava from where I'm from? Of course, obviously. Peach, plum. I love those, but I do buy them from the shop. Mangoes. I've never found mangoes yummier than the ones where I'm from. Super delicious. So nice. Anyway, what else can I talk about? The Pondoland, which is where I am from, is in the eastern part of the province. It holds some of the richest soils in the country. Hence, I'm telling you, we have plenty of fruit, and I'm mostly never used to buying fruit. I usually buy fruit when I'm out of the Eastern Cape, honestly, and in my opinion, some of the best fruit in the entire world you will find in the Pondoland. When I buy fruit from the shop, it does not taste quite the same. I can taste that this is fertilized, this is artificial. Why does it not taste organic? Why does it not taste like the one from home? And when I'm back at home and I'm tasting it, I'm like, oh my god, tastes like magic. Tastes like magic. It's not quite the same. Most of the soils don't get fertilized. Everything you grow in your garden is organic. You just grow in your garden, and then you just use your organic waste from the harvest to fertilize your soil. Just recycling, using it as a form of mulch as well. So you don't really need fertilizers, which actually makes it taste better. So yeah, and what else can I say? Some of the natural assets we have include World Heritage sites. We have a wide variety of those, and if you want looking for a park, there's Ado Elephant National Park. So yeah, and then between 10% and 15% of the land is set aside for provincial nature reserves, while private parks comprise of further 15%. So 15% of their, conservancies. So that's basically it in terms of that. And then in terms of tourism, I mean, you can find the Big Seven in real life, and it comprises of the great white shark as well. So you can find it there, and then you can also find the buffalo, the elephant, the leopard, the lion, as well as the rhino. So yeah. And then there's also the big five safari animals. You can find them here. We also have the most beautiful area called the Transkei, imposing the Great Karoo. It's so peaceful. If you want to have a peace of mind, I would say go to the Transkei. You won't regret it. So beautiful in landscape, so enlightening and awesome. Go there. Enjoy yourself. It's amazing. I'm done with the babbling. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Good night. Catch you on the next one.